Grand Rising family. I'm going to talk about healing some traumas today. The human connection. Love filaments. If you're catching the replay, you can fast forward. If you don't want to listen to some music and chill with me for a few minutes, we usually start about 5 to 10 minutes in. I like to listen to a little music, set the tone, open it up and let it breathe while we allow people to jump into the chat room and jump onto the live stream. And so if you're catching the live and that ain't your thing, then, come back in 5 minutes because I always let it air out. I love to enjoy some time with y'all. Listen to some beautiful vibrational frequencies. Set my mind right. And to know that we'll get started here in just a few minutes. I see we got 3 people watching already. Again, I like to wait until we got about 10 people, 10 eyeballs on the show. So we're going to listen to some music and just chill. Breathe. Enjoy the music. Turn it up. Dance like a child. Be in fucking love today, man. Have a heart of gratitude. A heart of joy. Set those intentions today. Affirmations. I am. You are beautiful, family. You are all that you think you lack, you are. Yes, it is live, Victoria. Awesome. I'm glad that you were able to join in, Michael Musco. Good to see you, JC. I love all y'all. And so we're going to chill and hang out. This is a live stream. We're going to chill and hang out. Let some more people jump in. Enjoy the music. I'm going to medicate. So sit tight, family. Enjoy the music. You are who I am. Can you imagine that? There is one God and that's a fact. I am who I am, that is that. I am who you are, look at that. You are who I am, can you imagine that? There is one God and that's a fact. Joy to the world, peace on the earth. God bless the children, how we love them. Joy to the world, peace on the earth. God we are live, family. We're just hanging out and letting it air out. We'll be starting on the subject at about 10 minutes in, so just enjoy the music. Enjoy each other's company in the chat. Enjoy yourself. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Know that you are worthy. Know that you are loved. Know that you are and will be always loved. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, thank God I am. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, that is that. I am who I am, thank God I'm just jumping into my other device and checking things. It looks like the stream is going smooth. If we have any issues, please let me know in the chat. If everything's running smooth, also please let me know that. I am who I am, that is that. I am who you are, look at that. You are who I Can you imagine that? There is one God that supplies joy to the world, peace on the earth. God bless the children. See another eyeball popping up, so we'll get going here shortly, family. We're going to talk about quantum entanglement today. The way that we're all connected on a subatomic level. On the earth, God bless the children, how we love them. Joy to the world, peace on the earth. God bless the children, how we love them. Joy to the world, joy. You know, I'm kind of thinking about doing more lives like this. I've been having some connection issues, even when my internet is running wonderful. Things have been seeming to lag and not work out right. And so that's the reason the camera is off. I will turn it on just so you know that it's me. It's me, family. I love y'all. The only reason that the camera is off is because it helps with the connection. It keeps things from slowing down and lagging, and so I do want you to know I'm here. We are live, and we're going to be talking about some very interesting things today. I am hanging out, listening to some music, waiting for some people to jump on the video. Again, if you know me, we start 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes in. It's when we'll get started, and so we'll get started here in just a few more minutes. We might listen to one more song. I am going to meditate. I just came in from cleaning the truck off so my wife can go to work. We got probably close to a foot of snow here where I'm at in Colorado. So I already did my FICO, my full extract cannabis oil. And now I'm taking a little bit of pain medication and trying to stimulate my appetite. Some of you may know. Some of you may not. But I've been struggling with what I believe is Mr. Michael intestinal cancer. Leadership in action. Something in my intestinal tract. Sarah, good to see you. Lacey, good to see you. Glad you guys can join this morning. So before we get started, I am going to finish medicating. I might medicate throughout the show, but also listen to this song. This one I might not talk a lot through and just close my eyes and meditate. I'd encourage you to do the same. Within me, peace surrounding me, peace from me. By thy grace, let there be peace. By thy grace, let there be peace. By thy grace, let there be peace within me. Peace surrounding me. Peace from me. By thy grace, let there be peace. By thy grace, let there be peace. Family, I don't like feeling rushed, and I feel rushed often when we're moving into these videos. I don't want you to feel rushed. I don't want that kind of energy, that anxious energy, to be transferred to you during these lives. Many of us are empaths and psychics that draw energy without even knowing. That's part of what this journey is about, is finding out who you are, what you have in here. The Satnam City Waheguru. The Satnam City Waheguru. So we'll speak that out. One creator created this creation. Truth is his name. Don't hate the truth, family. Great beyond description is his infinite wisdom. City Waheguru. Ekungar Satnam City Waheguru. Why do we fear that which is different from us, that which we do not know? Because we've been programmed to fear it, family. Why do we hate that which we don't know, and that which is different from us? Because we've been programmed to hate. You are love, family. That's awesome to hear, Sarah. Peace. We have that peace. We have an abundance of that peace. There's no reason that we should stress the way that we do. I mean, when I say we, I just mean as a collective, you know. Collectively, we all stress. That's what's going on, you know, with this coronavirus and the state of politics in our country, the state of the world. Some crazy stuff, family. People can fear. It's the name of the game, to rush through life, right? A constant distraction. When are people gonna just slow down and smell a flower? Notice that flower poking out of the concrete. Stop and hug the ones that they love. Say I love you. Gas up a stranger, man. Smile at somebody today. Smile at a complete stranger. Hold the door open for somebody. It doesn't have to be a male for a female. Just hold the door open for somebody. Love, family, love. It's what connects us all. And when we're not loving, we see that effect not just in our own lives, but in the lives of those that are around us. Sorry guys, I am grooming on camera. This is why I was just going to keep the camera off as well. I got up and went out to almost a foot of snow. I had to clean off my F-350 for my wife to to get to work. If you see this, baby, I love you. I love my wife. I love my wife so much. And I love my kids. And I love you, family. You know, there's a lot of crap going on with this coronavirus scare. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Clouds of white. What are you seeing, family? Are you seeing skies of blue and clouds of white? Or are you seeing doom and gloom? It's a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. All right, we're 15 minutes in, so let's go ahead and we'll turn this down. I might leave a little bit of music in the background, but coronavirus. You know, stress, man. Stress is a crazy thing. I was talking, I believe, in my last video that scientists, they've shown, you know, I believe that we faced a lot of stressful things, family. We've been going through it for years now. And, you know, it's something crazy that it's been years now. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. So I'm glad to see you guys in the chat. Theodora, Lacey, Sarah, Michael, JC, Victoria. I'm glad you guys could all jump in. Always a joy to have you guys chopping it up here in the chat room and commenting and adding all your wisdom. That's one thing that I love and I encourage, you know. So much can be misconstrued in text or in a chat room, but when people are really truly coming together with a desire to learn and to share truth, it's amazing how even in some of those misconceptions and misunderstandings, that truth gets conveyed. And you know, there's nothing that can hinder that truth, right? Truth is love. Love is truth. Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way to the truth for that abundant life, right? And so, happy birthday, first and last name. We actually, I picked a name and my wife picked a name. So I believe I picked Jade, and or we collectively picked Miranda, Jade, and then when we named my son, we each picked a name. And so I picked one of his middle names, and we all agreed on his first name. And so, yeah, and so we all picked names that we like, and then we all agreed to the names. And so if we had another kid, he'd probably have 4 names, because each one of us three. Yeah. Anyway, he'd probably have a lot of names, and so I'm glad you were able to get here too. But what we were talking about, you know, is worry, stress, anxiety. That mess can cause cancer, man. Like it can cause disease in the mind and in the heart, and disease in the body. And you know, scientists have proven that negativity literally makes cancer grow inside the body. You know, and I believe I did talk about this in my last video, and or in the first
healing ancestral trauma video, the emotions, when you feel betrayed, backstabbed, when you feel hurt, bitter, angry, right? Whenever you revisit the experiences that cause these emotions, you're solidifying those experiences, um the events you experience over and over. The more you think about it, the more you stew on it, the more you allow it to dictate your emotional state. It causes more bitterness, more anger, right? It causes you to focus more on that individual that caused the hurt, and to focus on that person negatively. But the way that we're all connected, you see, we have these invisible filaments, these ties that connect us. It's like when you get that feeling, when you get goosebumps, when you think about somebody and they call you out of the blue, no matter how long it's been since you've talked, right? But they call you. I was just thinking about them, man. I was just thinking about them. That's strange that you call. I don't know how many times I said it's strange that you call. I was just talking about you. I was just thinking about you. Well, see, when you have those bitter feelings, when you have those angry feelings, and that person that you are literally connected with, no matter the distance, no matter how far away you are, it perpetuates that feeling in between the two of you. And so when you start feeling bad, negatively, having these emotions about another person, they in turn are going to start perpetuating that same type of thing on their end. And so when you start talking bad about this person, that person, don't be surprised if there's negative things being said on that other side. That you've heard it said that the energy that we put out is the same thing that comes back to us. Many people who follow the law of attraction and believe that, believe that we have to just vibrate high, and you will attract all of that comes along with it. And I'll share a graphic and talk a little bit about the vibrational frequency chart of the human uh, energetic field, and emotions, energy in motion. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll show a graphic on it. But when we revisit these things and we have this negativity, and have you ever felt like, thought about somebody and just like even been angry out of nowhere, thinking you forgave them, like, I'm not gonna let that situation really bother me, and you're just like, wow, where did that come from? Why am I so angry at this person? Why, I haven't even thought about them for a while. There's probably some kind of emotion going on the other end, being revisited. And so we got to think about that when we're revisiting those things. And we're going to talk about forgiveness. And, I see somebody comment a stalker type situation. So I'm not sure what you're asking in a stalker situation. You got to always be safe. Take precautions. I don't ever want anybody to walk into a dangerous situation. There's some dangerous things being said in the spiritual community and in the New Age movement that can cause a lot of emotional damage and spiritual damage. And we got to be careful with that. we got to be careful with all of the gaslighting that can go on. And I've even seen play out in my own situations. And it's one of those things that it's just like when you start to follow a doctrine or a dogmatic doctrine from a religious aspect, right? And you start to judge somebody. When you start to get these new age philosophies solidified in your mind, you start to look at people as um, well, just kind of like in ministry, you just look at things as an outside thing. You look at the outer, and it's not that. You got to remember the spirit, and you got to remember the heart and the love, and the fear that can be perpetuated in so many situations. You know, and it causes us to shut down a lot of the time and revert back to these behaviors of uh, revisiting these emotions, these energies that put things into motion, into a direction that we never want to go, right? What we miss, though, when we get caught up in the emotions is that Theodora, that's true. I just want to pause what I'm talking about. Theodora said, my opinion, as much as some evolve, the more shadows come after you. And so I've heard it put this way, a new level, new devil, right? And well, that's true. You'll face spiritual warfare. You'll find new demons as you and I want to quit using that word, demons, devils, because energies. That's what, and many of these energies are opportunists, as my brother puts it, Seven Bomar. I've heard him put it that way. That saying demon in the spiritual realm in these other dimensions is like saying the N word, saying a very offensive word, because these energies, we're all connected, and we're going to get to that, the filament aspect. And so all of these energies that we can experience are inside of us. And you've heard it said that we have the cosmos inside of us. And so that's why we see these things playing out the way that they are in the cosmos, a shifting, a new age, an age of knowing. We'll talk about the corona aspect of this very here in just a minute. Family, I love coming together with you guys because I love to share these things that source has showed me, and the way that they're being taken, these energies are being taken and inverted, right? Demonized. And so we have these energies that are meant to benefit us, and all of these gifts, right? It's said in one of the religious writings in scripture, it says in the Bible that to the pure all things are pure. My brother Jim and KJ, his wife, they post that often, and it's true. It's true when you understand the way that all things are connected, and it's said in scripture that all things are from God, right? All things are from God. And if God is good, what aspect of God are we calling a demon? We can go into all of these archetypes and understand that, yes, they are fragments. But again, the term that my brother uses, opportunists, they're opportunists. These energies are opportunists. And that's what we see playing out in our world today, is that there's opportunists. There's spirits inside of men that are opportunists, and they're taking advantage, and it's really playing out in an ugly way. But we'll get to perspective as well. I don't know that we'll be able to cover everything in this episode, but We've definitely got time in the eternal now to share what needs to be shared. And as we move forward, and we'll continue to make videos specifically on healing these traumas. Uh, yes, Jeanette, Titus. It is in Titus 1:15-16. And so we got to understand, I've said it before that these energies that we have access to, like I truly believe that we have access, and we've shown it in the ancient writings that we've seen in these other cultures, that we have access to energies, to powers of levitation, that we can levitate rocks, that we were able to levitate stones. A lot of people say aliens and other entities and the Titans and it was the angels and the archangels. Family, the ancestors, those who have gone before us, we are a collective of all of that DNA. In this realm right here, in the physical realm, everything is recycled, everything circulates, right? The water, if we live in a dome, where does the water go? It goes back up to the sky, forms back into moisture, humidity, comes back down in the rain. That water is constantly recycled, whether it falls on the ground or in the ocean, in the rivers, in the lakes, in the reservoirs. It all flows back. It all flows. It all cycles. It all evaporates and comes back down. The earth is 70% water. Our bodies are 70% water. And so all of the information that's been stored in those water droplets, in that moisture, again, down to the atomic and subatomic levels, there's information stored in our DNA. And when we come to remembrance of the power that we had before and the destruction that it brought when we were like little kids playing with guns. And so what happens when one misuses that which was given to them? It's stripped away, right? We have this mindset that there's this evil out there ready to take everything from us. And you know what? Mankind has done that because we see that greed sometimes in ourselves, and maybe even if it's not monetarily, if you wanted to hoard somebody up for yourself, a friend or an item, heap up treasures here on earth. That attachment is what keeps us attached into a lower vibrational frequency and a lower density that causes us to re-experience these negative events in our life, that causes us to suffer. Our bodies suffer, our minds suffer, our hearts suffer, the people around us suffer. Harboring negative emotions, it can just lead to such a devastating long-term disease. I've found a lot of emotional healing going through this physical sickness that I've been going through. A ton. I know that I've got to reach out and seek forgiveness from some people, whether they want to give it or not, just things that I was harboring, things that I hadn't been able to let go of, things that I thought were done and over with, that I had put out of my mind and I had left in the past. Through our sickness, through our disease, through our what seems to be our demise, we can find such great treasures and joys. Don't think it strange when the fiery trials which are to try you spring forth, man. Count it all joy because you know that something is going to come from it. I count it joy that I was within inches of my life just a month ago. You guys haven't seen me for probably a month, maybe over a month, until these recent videos that I posted, because I was in the cave. But in the cave, you find great treasures, as my brother Rick put it. You find great treasures in the cave. And so don't allow these negative events in your life to cause this pain that can cause a long-term disease. You know, when you find forgiveness in your heart, you're able to allow these feelings that hold you back, these feelings that hinder you, that dampen you from being the love that you are. You're able to release the feelings of resentment, the feelings of anger and frustration, and even in some cases hate. Man, I know that's a strong word, but we got to search our own hearts and find out, do I hate? Do I hate? I know a lot of us would say, no, that's not in me. That's definitely not in me. But, you know, don't look at forgiveness as a weakness. You know, we fear making ourselves vulnerable, and we fear letting go of some of these things that have scarred us, some of these things that have marked our lives in such a way that we feel it is part of our identity. It's not weak to do that. It takes a lot of strength to do that, because it means changing who you are. It means allowing a part of you to die, moving on from it. Hey, Eyes to See. I'm just now seeing your comment. I'm glad you were able to jump in. You know, people take the power of forgiveness and they manipulate it, and they try to again put people under them, and use it to um, justify their wrongdoings, justify their actions. But when you find that place of forgiveness, so clinically speaking, forgiveness is when you get to a place where you release that hostility, that angry mindset towards the one that has hurt you, whether or not they're seeking forgiveness, whether or not they've said they're sorry, whether or not they've apologized, whether they deserve your forgiveness. You know, forgiveness, it's a process that you have to walk through, right? And again, this is going somewhere. So I'm not just talking to talk. I want y'all to understand the way that we're connected, the human connection, the love connection, and the way that these things hinder that connection. You know, there's a huge difference between decisional forgiveness and emotional forgiveness, right? Decisional forgiveness is a behavioral intention to resist an unforgiving stance and to respond differently towards a transgressor, whereas emotional forgiveness is the replacement of negative, unforgiving emotions with positive, other oriented emotions. Emotional forgiveness involves psychological changes, and it has more direct health and well being consequences. You see, studies have found that forgiving personality types are related to better subjective and psychological well being. Other studies have found that forgiveness is linked to improved physical symptoms. fewer medications used, better sleep quality, less fatigue, fewer somatic complaints. It's been linked to better cardiovascular health. This was a study published in American Journal of Cardiology. They found that anger and other negative emotions, right, had cardiotoxic effects, while forgiveness had a more cardioprotective role. So your heart, family, your heart that emits the strongest toroidal field. Okay, so your brain emits a toroidal field, an energy field that emits energy waveforms, right? Your brain has one of these fields. Your heart has one that's 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain. The brain type neurons in your heart are 5,000 times stronger. Let me see. I think my battery's going low, family. It is. Let me just check my connection here. All right. It says it's plugged in. It says you got power. Looked like my battery was dying, family. So, all right. Hopefully that did it. It can hurt your heart, family. It can hurt your heart. And we're all connected by the heart. We have filaments that connect us by that toroidal field. Even if you go and isolate in the mountains, that doesn't remove you from being affected by what the earth absorbs and emits. That's why we see the Schumann resonance spiking and going crazy. Because what's going on inside of us? The energy that's being put into the earth, we blame HARP, and yes, there's weather manipulation. All of these things are real, man. I mean, the conspiracy facts are off the charts, but we give that power when we put our energy into those things, right? And the energy that we emit that is drawn by those technologies and then put into the earth is also emitting an energy and throwing the earth's resonance off. And so we see that playing out, and it's affecting the cosmos. And so we really feel like a lot of people who have studied, and I've studied, believe me, I've read into so many esoteric writings, and we believe that the cosmos dictate our emotional states, and while we can read those things in the stars and in the planets, it's really happening because of what's happening in here, in us collectively. That's why there's all of this fear porn, all of this separation, all of this division to keep us in these negative states, in that bitterness. Draw out that anger and that frustration and that hurt. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. Let me see and make sure that we're got the right stuff up. See how that looks. That's actually not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. And so, emotion, energy and motion, everything vibrates at a certain frequency, family. The law of vibration activates the law of attraction, and through the law of deservedness, you attract what you send out by the emotions you hold in your body. So we need to understand this for what it is and not for what the New Age movement or any other religious movement or spiritual movement has taken and made this out to be. Okay. So we have to find balance in ourselves in order to achieve these higher frequencies. It's not about being on on this um, uh, all light and love, and we have to be love, and love includes loving through hurts and forgiving. When we stay down here in anger, fear, grief, guilt, shame, even pridefulness, we stay in a contracted state of consciousness, and we focus only on these things that are they adversely affect us on a physical level. If when we remain resentful, when we remain in that place of anger and pride and fear and grief and the pity party, right? Woe is me, the apathy, the guilt, the shame. I should have done this, I should have done that. Like that's those things that cause hostility in us, cause us to be confused, unclear about anything that may have happened in the past. It takes a toll on our body, family. It takes a toll on our body. And so how do we expand our consciousness? How do we vibe high? How do we get to this place of peace, joy, love, reason? A lot of that has to do with our state of mind, our heart, our well-being. Where are we vibing at? When we're vibing way down here, we're starting to cause dis-ease in our minds and our hearts, and it causes disease in our bodies. Negative thoughts. If we allow the thought forms, the things that are going on with the coronavirus, oh my God, this what's gonna happen? This epidemic, this virus is going crazy. It's oh, woe is me. Oh man, I hate that Nancy Pelosi. Oh man, I hate Donald Trump. He's Hitler. Oh man, I hate. We're doing all of that instead of praying, focusing on our heart. People dog on essential oils, but essential oils are medicine. I don't care what anybody says. The resonant frequencies of crystals have an effect on our body. Positive thoughts bring you up rather than down. What is it that's on our minds and our hearts that is causing us to drop down into this frequency range? Hey, good morning, Jeannie. Good to see you. back over here. And so where are we vibing at, family? Are you expanding your consciousness, or are you allowing yourself to be stuck in these thought forms that control and manipulate your emotions? Dr. Stephen Standiford, the chief of surgery at the Cancer Treatment Facilities of America, remarks that remembering so many sad thoughts, it can make one nervous. It causes inner turmoil. Naturally, this causes an abnormal surge in the cortisol, the adrenaline levels in the body. In turn, this decreases the number of cells that kill the threats to the body. And so when people talk about, oh man, I have this friend that is constantly dogging on like, oh, vibrational frequencies. What's this with good vibes? And like just constantly like, oh my gosh, man, what this has to be causing negativity and dis-ease in this person's heart because they're so bitter towards anybody that has anything to say about good vibes and sending positive energy. Don't say positive energy and good vibes. Praying to the Most High. Well, you know, the Most High gave us these abilities. The Most High gave us this power. The Most High is energy. He is the energy source. And I say he, but it's not even a he. That's something that's been just completely skewed and misconceptualized by religious circles. And so when we're just so focused on that negative aspect of everything, it causes all of these chemicals to surge, the adrenaline, the cortisone, and it kills off the good cells that kill the bad cells, man. The cells that are protecting our body from disease and illness, they're hampered, they're held back. When our mind is in a state of anger and hostility, it puts our body in that same state, in that same vibrational state, that same frequency. Our bodies tune into that frequency that our mind is the tuning fork. Our mind is the dial that's tuning our hearts and our bodies into that frequency, into that station. And so then when this happens, when our body is in that same state of anger, hostility, unforgiveness, it means that you're more prone to developing diseases. Diseases like cancer. So we got to watch take every thought captive, family. Take every thought captive. Man, I know that this is why I put that video. I did a video recently regarding, getting to the bottom of the rabbit hole. We get to the bottom of the rabbit hole. What do we find? We find ourselves. And when we find ourselves, then we're faced with accountability and responsibility. Understanding that when we're stewing over problems, like I was focusing on so many of the things that are going on in this world, not realizing that the state of my heart was affecting and allowing and consenting to the things that are going on in this world, perpetuating the energies and all of the negative things that are going on in this world. I'm giving power to. And not only that, but I'm drawing others' negative power, the energy in them. I'm transmuting that energy and putting it into a negative force, energy force. That's what we're doing, family, when we're perpetuating the fear, all of the fear porn and all of the oh my God, coronavirus is going to kill half of the population. Oh my God, the depopulation, Agenda 21, and all of these things that might actually be happening, family, that I don't doubt and deny any of it because I've studied it for years. But FEMA camps, are FEMA camps really FEMA camps? Are they FEMA camps because you're creating them to be FEMA camps? Because we're perpetuating that energy and that thought form? When we stew over these things that we have no control over, it continuously releases cortisol into our bodies. And so if we're looking and we're falling into this rabbit hole and it's causing this tremendous amount of stress and worry and dis-ease in our minds and our hearts, it's going to cause disease in our bodies. When we choose to just forgive, like Christ said, forgive. How often do I forgive, Father? My brother just continually sins against me. My brother just continues to offend me. How many times do I got to forgive that mother fool? How many times? How many times? 7? Really? Up to 70? I don't say 7 or 70. I say 70 times 7, yo. Continue to forgive. Continue to forgive. It is for your well-being. It is for your benefit. Family, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love the support that you guys give. I love my family so much. My man, going through what we've gone through, man. It's been a dark place, man. It causes so much doubt. It causes so much hurt and pain. And my family has seen me isolate. My family has seen me go into my cave, into my hole, into the basement, and just get to a point where I was ready to curl up and die, man. And I was stewing over the problems. I was stewing over everything. I was stewing over the things that I was doing because I knew it wasn't right to just isolate and to withdraw and to be angry, so angry that I'm so sick. Why? Why? After all the shit that I've done, after the way that I've served God, after the way that I've served his people, after the things that I've done for my family, my wife's family, for my own family. Why? Why? Stewing over that, stewing over the hurt and the pain and all of the hurt and pain that I've caused in my close circle and in outside circles, especially in exposing the church. Like, fuck that, man. How many people did I hurt? People that I love, people that I called family, people that are that is their life, that is their belief, that is their love, that is their faith, man, that I was attacking when I was attacking the church. Continually focusing on the few bad apples, the few men that are are men no different than I, that fall and fail, no different than I, that have a heart to love, that truly believe the things that they are teaching, having been indoctrinated and taught the things that they're teaching themselves. Even Christ didn't do this when he called out the religious leaders. He went to them and he spoke to them to their face and he told them where they erred. He didn't go and he didn't talk all kinds of shit to all of the people that were being abused and taken advantage of. He encouraged them. He loved them. He exposed the wrong. But how are we exposing things, family? Because when we expose these things, we're really exposing them within ourselves. Right? And that's where we've got to realize that a lot of the guilt and the shame, it comes on a subconscious level because we start to point out all these flaws and these shortcomings in people. And in our subconscious, we know that we have the same flaws and the same shortcomings. And yeah, we can get into those that we hear about, drinking adrenochrome and eating, cannibalism and pedophilia and all of these things. I'm not saying that we're all doing those things. I'm saying that the aspect of the prodigal can be looked at as Christ. And we have to realize that energy that we call Satan or the devil or a demon, and that energy that we call Christ or the risen one or the anointed, we have that energy, both of those energies. Christ said, I and the Father are one. There is no separation, family. He was pointing to that in you. We have this picture that he was so grieved that he sweat blood. What does that say to you, family? It was detrimental to the point that he was losing his blood through his pores because of the stress he was under. And so don't feel guilt or shame when you come under that kind of duress. Know that we have a high priest that can sympathize. And that energy, that power of that high priest is in us. We've been anointed. We've been given that inheritance of the Christos, of the anointing. Christ said we would be sons of God, sons of the Most High, that we would be gods. It's written in the law. It says it's written in your law that you are gods. Stand up and be that. You gotta stop stewing over all these problems, man. Taking all this freaking fear porn. We are one. Jim, KJ, I'm not sure which one is on, but I love you guys. And you're off today, man. So I'm gonna give you a call. Definitely need to touch base with you. It's synchronicity. My bro Jim sent me some messages yesterday, and all the things that source is showing us, man. We have to take our power back, and we can't continue to pour power into these these fear mongering, fear porn, fear tactics to keep us in these states that we're creating these and perpetuating these energies that we're all sick of. You know what? They were good. Yes, these negative energies taught us something. It's like taskmasters again. These energies that we couldn't control. I mean, look at what man is doing with the power that he has now. Imagine if he had the power the ability of the power that we have to transmute these energies, shoot lightning bolts out of your fingers, levitate, fly. We'll have access to those kind of abilities soon. Right now, we're learning the healing abilities because we have to heal before we can do anything like that. But telekinesis is very real. And I'll be doing some shows on telekinesis and electrokinesis, psychokinesis very soon here. I have some very exciting things to share regarding that. It's available to us, family. But stewing over these problems that continue to release these chemicals and hamper our ability to heal. JC, it's a hard one. That's been one of my worries. And check this out. I've got a great thing about that is when we figure out that we are abundant, like it sounds like new age bullshit. It sounds like name it, claim it bullshit. But here's the thing, when we realize I've been struggling, right? Because I've been so sick that I haven't been able to work. And I've been stewing over one of these things I've been stewing over. Money, my financial situation. I've had uh, my medicine, my brother, Rick, Freedom Grower, he's given me, I don't know the dollar amount value, but to me, it's invaluable. And he's given me this medicine. And that's one thing that I am going to start. I know that that's something that God is calling me to do, is give away medicine, because this shit is life saving. And and so, I mean, there's angels out there that God uses to provide for you. And so I've been stressed about money, and I've been putting video after video on Facebook asking for help with the GoFundMe, and feeling so like let down that I see people on their vacations, and I mean, like, dropping coin like tens of thousands of dollars on just crazy materialistic shit, right? People that have said that they love me and love my family, and they know I'm dying, and they know that I've been asking for help, but they're out there, I mean, dropping coin and putting it on Facebook and just putting it all over there. And it's like, it's kind of hurtful, but in the end, it's like I had to realize that, um, man, I'm abundant. My Father is abundant. My Creator, the Creator, the Most High of all things created. There's no lack in that, and that source is I'm a fragment of that source. And so I was pushing, man. Oh man, buy my jewelry, buy my shoes, and you know what? Yesterday, I'm just like, I'm good. I know God's got us, man. We're at the brink of losing things, at the brink of getting some things shut off. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna allow myself to stew on that and worry about it and stress it, because I'm healing and I have to heal. I have to heal. I can't be in that place. No, JC, that's the thing, is I don't ever want it to be a guilt trip. And that's, I felt guilt and shame that I was making people feel guilty because they couldn't help me, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, finally, I just, day before yesterday, I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep feeling so burdened. And I feel like, okay, there's a lot of people that couldn't give two shits about my situation, even though they might put on the mask that, oh, we feel sorry for you. And I mean, those haven't even reached out. And that's another place that I feel bad. I say, oh man, people haven't reached out. I've had a couple of people from my church days, my church experiences, my brothers that have reached out and asked if they could come visit me. And even after everything that's been said and done, they're reaching out, and that takes a lot of love and a lot of courage. And so, um, I just I know that it weighs on people when they see people in a place of hurt, and a place of dis-ease, and a place of 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 facing their mortality, right? and they can't help because I see people and my heart hurts, man. My heart hurts. I empathize and I sympathize with people. I literally feel their pain, right? And so when I'm out there, feeling that desperation and perpetuating that emotion, right? Pushing other people into that feeling of burden, right? I don't ever want to be the cause of that. Sorry, I'm texting my wife. Um, and so we gotta we gotta be careful about how we push ourselves into those areas. And thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie's bought several pieces from us, and we're sending her some earrings. Um, you know, that's people are just amazing, and that's one of the synchronicities and the confirmations and affirmations that our creator has us, man. Is I'm here pushing in desperation. Why isn't my jewelry selling? Why isn't the, I have some shoes selling, and why isn't this stuff moving, man? Why aren't we getting any money? I'm stressed. We've used up, my daughter's savings. She was saving and just doing so well. And, dad gets sick, grandma dies, and dad gets sick all within a month, couple months of each other. And, um, you know, my 21-year-old daughter has to help support this family. And it's just one of those things that was really stressful and hard. And I'm like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this to myself. I can't do this to my family. Um, and and the creator's so good. My sister buys some earrings and just from her abundance, gives and provides exactly what we needed in that moment. Um, and then I had a couple of pairs of shoes sell, and without even like trying, like I was done posting, I was done pushing, I was done trying, I was done stressing, and out of the blues, a couple of guys hit me up. Hey man, I want to buy some of the shoes that you posted a few days ago. And like, it's just this thing, when we're not constantly giving our energy to that negativity or to that doubt or to that lack mentality, right? um things flow. And so that energy of confidence, of abundance, of knowing that the creator's never let us down, he's showing himself true. Are we in a perfect position? Hell no, man. We're still, you know, um, we're still behind on a lot of bills. But we got food on the table. We got some fruit and some vegetables up there, some healthy food. We've got some good cold pressed juice. We've got um, medicine. I've got the medicine I need. Like God is providing. God is providing, and so we should always have that heart of gratitude and that willingness to forgive. You know, um, it's really important to treat our emotional wounds, any of these things that can come up from any of our past experiences, right? Because they could really hinder the reactions to the treatments. Even if we're willing to pursue some of these various treatments, like I was taking the full spectrum oil, I was medicating, I had changed my diet, and things seemed to keep getting worse, and I was still losing weight, and I was just and it's something funny, and God continued to show me, like, he showed me why I shouldn't go to Kaiser, go back to my primary health care provider. That would solidify that thought form that once you hear that you have cancer, once you hear that you have X disease or Y disease or Z disease, it's going to be a matter of months, Joe. It's going to be a matter of months. King Asa sought the physicians instead of seeking me, and it cost him. Because we put our faith in these other things, and we hear these words of, you have this disease and you have this much time, and it solidifies those thought forms, and then we stew over it, and we just stew on it, and we just think, and we just, oh man, we believe it, and we take it, and we solidify it, and we allow that to be our truth and our reality. We hinder our own healing, family. Dr. Michael Berry, he authored this book called The Forgiveness Project. And in his book, he says it's estimated that 61% of cancer patients have forgiveness issues. Harboring these negative emotions, this anger and this hatred creates a state of chronic anxiety, he explains. Chronic anxiety, very predictability, produces excess adrenaline and cortisol. It depletes the production of natural killer cells, which is your body's foot soldier in the fight against cancer. So how do we forgive, man? And forgiving can be so hard. Man, I've had people, my father was murdered. He was beat to death. I've had a lot of things happen that are just so heartbreaking and so angering. How do you forgive? It can take time, family. It can take time to forgive. You have to rewrite and reprogram your mind in your thought forms. It really is a matter of rewiring the brain, putting in the work to change the neural networks. Okay, I've spoken a lot about this in my past videos. The neural networks, the neural highways, these synapses, these new synapses are built when you can get over these thought forms, these things that are perpetuated in our minds that continue to hold us back and moving forward in what God has for us, right? It's like there's this, it's like a highway that your neurons travel on. And the more neurons that are traveling on that highway, the more that highway is expanding and building up, just like I-70 here in Colorado. I don't remember the last time that there wasn't construction and expansion on I-70 or 225 or I-25. There's always an expansion project going on because there's always more traffic. And so the more power that we give to these thought forms, the more traffic that's going to be traveling on those highways, and the more they're going to expand and solidify and be strengthened, right? And so we have to knock those highways down and build new highways. New neural synapses come with new wisdom, new knowledge, with acceptance. It's up there on that picture that acceptance is one of those vibrational frequencies that moves us up into a higher vibrational state. You're moving into the blue, starting to get towards that flow. You're beyond just getting by. You're moving into an expanded consciousness already. When you start to just have acceptance for some of these things that we've taught being a lie, some of the dogmas and these religious doctrines that we've been taught that keep us in bondage from being a lie. You know what I'm saying? When we can accept that some of these things that we've been lied to, family, when we can accept that we've been lied to, then we can start to expand our consciousness, and we can learn how to forgive. We can get past this, even being neutral. How many of us are like, oh yeah, fuck that, I'm good, I'm just moving on? How many of us are like that? Fuck that, I'm I'm gonna just dust it off. Got to move past that neutrality. Got to move past the neutrality, past the pride, past the anger, the desire to continue to hold on to the things of the flesh, these energies that put us in motion, that put things in motion. I thought I had the screen share up that whole time and I didn't. I'm sitting here looking at my screen thinking you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Again, I got to get better at this. So right here, acceptance, 350. We got to even move past that acceptance in order to vibrate higher, to learn how to truly forgive, to build these new neural networks. When you accept that you've been given a lie and you begin to seek out that new truth, that right there jumps you up into a state of reason. What does it say in scripture? Come, let us reason together. Why? Because we are love. Then you experience the joy and the peace of having the light of the world flow through you. In that expansion of your consciousness is where the Christos lies, the anointing of God. You learn how to forgive 70 times 7. You learn how to forgive endlessly. And when you can forgive endlessly, you can bring the prodigal home. It can be as simple as letting go of these hurtful memories, remembering that the person who hurt you is also human. Learn how to forgive. Learn how to forgive yourself, family, for carrying around all of the weight, the resentment. Learning how to let go of the past is an incredible feeling, man. Incredible feeling. Sorry, guys. I'm again texting my wife. And so I said I was going to talk about the coronavirus. You know, we have a lot of this, negativity going on in this world, a lot of negativity being perpetuated in our hearts and our minds. We see all of down to the damn ASPCA videos that cause guilt and shame because we can't afford to sponsor a pet. You know what I'm saying? To send money to the ASPCA or some other animal network. Got some celebrity up there pushing their pushing their cause, and it can cause a lot of guilt and shame and hurt, and so we've got to watch where our mind is. Take every thought captive. Take every thought captive. We are all connected, and at a cellular level, every single human depends on positivity to survive. I think I may have mentioned some of this stuff um, in a previous video, but I do want to cover it again because it's that important. It's that important. I do want to just talk about the coronavirus and some things that we need to link together. All right. So you look up the definition of corona in astronomy. It's a faintly colored luminous ring or a halo appearing to surround a celestial body when viewed through a haze or a thin cloud, especially such a ring around the moon or sun caused by scattering or diffraction of light from suspended particulate matter in the intervening medium. Right? The luminous irregular envelope of extremely hot and highly ionized gas located outside the chromosphere of the sun. And so again, there's a lot of connections in astronomy with the sun and the sun in us, and the way that the yellow sun is a projection from us, from our inner state of being. um, and so there's that aspect. And then, like in anatomy, it's the crown like upper portion of a bodily part or structure, such as the top of the head, the corona. In electricity, it's a faint glow enveloping the high filled electrode in corona discharge, often accompanied by streamers directed toward the low filled electrode. And so I know that there's a lot of talk about energy going away, but there's going to be a burst of energy as well, and all things are going to be made new, and we're going to know the way that we're supposed to know, right? And so just take that into consideration, what corona truly is, all of these different aspects, right? And what that could mean metaphysically, and just according to what we know with our physiology and the way that it works, and it's connected to our spirituality. And then let's look at uh, the definition of virus, right? One of the definition is something that poisons the mind or the soul, or a computer program that's usually disguised as an innocuous program or file that often produces copies of itself and inserts them into the other programs, and that when they run, they usually performs a malicious action such as destroying data or damaging software. In a sense, it's venom. It's taking that's what the etymology of it is. I'm not sure if I took that down here, but I know it's derived from like venom from a serpent, and so it can be seen as a poison. And so, what are they poisoning with in the corona? This light that's coming to Earth, this energy that we're all experiencing, that's bringing about this enlightenment, right? I've done shows where I've talked about halos and how uh, expanded or enlightened consciousness, conscious ascended masters, Christ himself emitted a light from his body on the transfiguration. Um, and so, um, what are they trying to poison? And how are they using words and thought forms to poison those things? The corona, the light, the astrological light, the light from the cosmos, the light rising in us, right? And so there's this coronavirus going on, and I actually had those things pulled up to screen share with you, but you guys can look them up. I got those off of the free dictionary is where I looked up corona, thefreedictionary.com, and virus was on Merriam-Webster dictionary. I did also want to share filament, though, because we're all connected at the heart by by filament. What is a filament? Um, So filament. It's a slender, thread-like object or fiber, especially one found in animal or plant structures. Check out my video, Firmly Planted People. I talk about how people are connected just like plants are connected, and we draw energy off of each other, right? And so it's a conducting wire or thread with a high melting point forming part of an electric bulb or a vacuum tube in a heated or made incandescent by an electrical current. Now, in astronomy, it's a narrow streamer from the sun's chromosphere or from its corona. So there's a filament, a narrow streamer from the sun's chromosphere or its corona. We have a filament that connects us to the sun and that connects us to each other, the sun inside of us, because we know that well, if you've seen some of my videos, the sun is a projection of the sun that's inside of us, an energy that's inside of us. And so yeah, it's it's amazing. Astronomy, it's a narrow streamer of gas in an interstellar cloud or nebula. And so it's these again, these uh, energies, these waves of energy that are coming, electromagnetism, waves of electromagnetism that are coming into our atmosphere, that are penetrating our bodies, and that are actually, it's a projection from what's going on inside of us. And so just keep all that stuff in mind, and the way that all of that stuff is being twisted, and how all of those powers are being inverted and just interjected um, into our thought forms and our emotions. And so family, I'm going to have you guys hold on. I'm going to run up and make sure that my door is unlocked for my wife. And so but yeah, keep these things in mind as we move forward, because we have a filament that connects us, right? I mean, quantum, sorry. Quantum mechanics show us, it reveals to us that we're truly connected. I'm going to jump onto that as soon as I get back. So just sit tight and enjoy a little bit of music while I run up and check my front door and make sure my door is unlocked for my wife. I'm going to actually stop the camera as well and let you guys enjoy some music. Great time to grab some water. 3 to 5 minutes, grab some water, take a bathroom break. This song is 3 minutes, so enjoy it. I'll be right back, family. Brief intermission.
Imagine there's no heaven. Jesus, you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us and the world will live as one.
I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool, and there's a reason I come to CES every year, and it's not to jump into ball pits. Admittedly, stuff like that is fun, but because you can't be here personally, it's my job to separate the eye-catching fluff from what really matters to us as individual investors. In short, what ideas here might turn into great stock investments later. For example, how about an underwater scooter? Well, that's very cool, probably a lot of fun, but probably not the kind of thing that's going to help us as investors right now. And the same goes for so-called smart toilets filled with foam poop emojis. Meanwhile, a glance at this might not scream great investing potential, but e-gaming and esports is huge worldwide with estimated viewership approaching 500 million people and revenue near $1 billion annually. And John Deere? Well, how about tractors with self-driving capabilities and sprayers that differentiate weeds from crops and can adjust automatically to wind conditions, and therefore they're able to apply product very precisely only to the plants that need it. That can mean as much as a 90% reduction in the amount of herbicide applied to fields. So yes, as investors, we come here each year looking for the next great trend that could produce the kinds of moonshot stocks that can make a real difference in your life. Now, I know one of the biggest regrets for investors is not getting into the right stocks early on. We hear it over and over. I wish I'd bought Amazon or Netflix when they were first recommended by the Motley Fool at those low prices. I'd be sitting on a gold mine. And it's true. If you had invested in Amazon when we sent a buy alert at $15.31 per share, you'd be up 12,110%. Or if you'd invested in Netflix when we recommended it at $1.85 per share, you'd be up 18,165%. These are stocks that were recommended by our Motley Fool co-founders Tom and David Gardner, and they really demonstrate the powerful potential of getting into quality companies when they still have so much room to run. And because of that, and because Tom and David take our mission very seriously, and that is to make the world smarter, happier, and richer, they've decided to offer a special free report to you right now. This report is called 5 growth stocks under $49. And again, it is free right now for a limited time only with no obligations. Now, why should you listen to the experts at Stock Advisor? Well, Motley Fool Stock Advisor has been helping investors find great stocks since 2002. Certainly not every stock will do as well as these, but the bottom line is this: the full list of winners is much longer, and Stock Advisor's 18-year record is beating the S&P 500 by more than 3 to 1, an incredible margin. But that's why my advice is to get your free copy of 5 growth stocks under $49 right now before the offer goes away. Remember, the number one regret we hear from investors is not getting started soon enough. Don't look back 5 years from now regretting that you failed to act on a free report. Simply enter your email and we'll send your 5 free stock picks directly to your inbox.
This event is for people that want to get into real estate.
It wasn't just here's how to flip a house, it's here's how to have a successful business.
It will change your life and it'll put you on the right track.
I was able to buy and renovate 10 properties in just 1 year while still working a full-time job.
That I wanted financial freedom, and I wanted to get out of that rat race, and I have.
I'm Van Merrill, star of A&E's hit TV show Flip This House. Over the past 14 years, I've bought and sold hundreds of properties, built a large portfolio of rental properties, and become a self-made multi-millionaire because I created a system that allows me to get very predictable and profitable results. Real estate has completely changed my life, and for the past decade, I've been able to share that passion through our live training events. These events have helped thousands of regular, everyday people get started investing in real estate the right way, which has allowed them to make more money and live with more passion and purpose.
We were real estate agents, and while we made a living at it, we weren't passionate about it. Well, we went to the event. It really gave us the confidence to do a wholesale deal. We put it under contract with a 30-day close, found a cash buyer. We had no money out of our pocket.
So we were definitely hooked after that, because what you said really works.
One question I get from people is, Van, I know your system works, but don't you need money to get into real estate? The beautiful thing is, it doesn't have to be your own money. And when you register for my free class, I'm going to immediately send you a free digital copy of my Money Resource Guide, which reveals what the 7 sources are that you can use to invest in real estate without using your own money.
We got the flip. We actually got that seller to owner finance us the house. We got to see the processes at work. We got to see the systems at work. And when we sold it, we made $25,000.
Not only have I helped people get a tremendous education, I've also helped them get started financially. In fact, in just the past few years alone, my business partners and I have funded over $165 million in real estate projects, making it possible for so many people who've attended my event to get started.
When I went to Van's event, there's just this whole door that opened up for me. It was eye-opening. I realized I can do more than what I think I can. And the only one that's holding me back is really me. Soon enough, we got our first deal under contract. I did that deal and it felt great. I was like, not believe that I did this. Like, that's awesome. I need to do it again. Throughout the summer, we'd had like 6-7 deals going on. My confidence level went through the roof. At that point, it was just deal after deal after deal after deal.
Imagine having properties that produce a consistent monthly cash flow and increase your net worth, whether you're working or not. At the class, you'll learn how to buy properties at a discount. So the day you close, you have instant equity. You're also going to learn how to utilize other people's money to buy the property. On top of that, the tenant is the one paying
It's been a long, long time together. There's a natural mystic flowing through the air. If you listen carefully now, you will hear. This could be the first trumpet, might as well be the last. Many more we got to suffer, many more we got to die. Don't ask me what. Things are not the way they used to be. One and all we got to face reality. Linda gala pembundi ya tete, benda gala peyantuka, bantu mingi si bamona mpasi, beba mingi si pafwa, ngikudiko. Things are not the way them used to be. One and all is got to face reality.
Hold on just a little bit longer. I know in time you'll feel a little stronger. And try just a little bit harder. When you feel like quitting, time to give it your all. Just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Who cares if they think that there's something funny about you? And smile just a little bit brighter, and all of your troubles will seem a little lighter. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Do, 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 just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. So you think feel a little freer, just a little bit.
All right, family. Just about ready to get going again. Hopefully everybody's getting everybody's gotten a drink, taken a restroom break, done whatever they need to do, because I've got some some more great information to go over regarding how we're all connected, family. So I'm going to catch my breath. Ran upstairs. Actually, didn't even do what I ran upstairs to do. Wanted to make sure the door was unlocked for my wife and give her a kiss, because my family is my priority. And so, thanks, Eyes to See, for jumping in. Definitely. Thanks for jumping in and joining in the chat. And I love it. Again, the connections that are made in the chat. And though I'm a small channel, the love is big in this room, and just appreciated. Again, the connections that are made, and the love and the blessings that are perpetuated here. And so I did want to move back into talking about how we are all connected. Again, going over the definition of filament, and that's something that we left off with. The corona, the definition of corona, the definition of virus, and so we could even briefly revisit that, just to not buy into that fear porn and the fear factor of this coronavirus, and understand that if there are things going on with it that people say are happening with it, it's because collectively people are buying into the hype, and we are causing dis-ease in the collective with the fear porn and the pushing of these things. And we have to avoid that, family, because that fear perpetuated puts a virus on the upper portion of our body, the crown-like upper portion of our body, like the top of our head, the crown chakra. It puts our mind in a state of fear. It puts our heart in a state of dis-ease, and it causes disease in our body. And no, we definitely got to talk, Jim. I want to have you on, bro, so that we can touch on that, because the synchronicities with what you were telling me in your messages that you sent me yesterday, with what Source has been showing me, man, we've got to talk, definitely. And the one that I really wanted to touch on, and where we left off, was the filament aspect. Remembering again that it's a slender thread-like object or fiber, especially one found in an animal or plant structure, a filament of cellulose. I'll put a link in the comments to the video, Firmly Planted People, where I talk about the way people are connected to each other through our toroidal fields, through our magnetic fields, the way that plants are connected. And so, like a filament of cellulose, we have that filament connecting us in astrological ways, again pointing to the definition of astronomy filament, a narrow streamer from the sun's chromosphere, or its corona, again the coronavirus, or the crown, or a narrow streamer of gas in an interstellar cloud or nebula. And so we're getting this this cosmic information, this cosmic gnosis, is what we're receiving through these waves of energy, but that energy inverted, being put towards this fear, and the propagation of this fear, and the perpetuation of this fear, and this shame, and this guilt based matrix is going to continue to perpetuate that which we see happening in front of us in this reality, in this projected reality. And we say it's a projected reality because it's not just illusory. I say that it's an illusory reality often, but I think a lot of people misunderstand what I'm saying when I say that. that this reality is very real. I mean, I'm outside scraping ice off of this car. These solids are real. This realm is real. This weather is real. Whether it's being made by man or made by natural forces, I'll say it this way: the natural forces, whether it's being perpetuated by systems like HARP or any of these other cloud seeding techniques or any of that. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, because the energy that's being put into those things is the only thing that perpetuates or propagates the outward projection. Just like in scripture, we hear it was Joshua that made the sun stand still for 3 days, I believe, during battle. And so, you know, we can make the sun stand still. We can move mountains, like Christ said. We have that ability. We have, once we understand how to balance out the energies that our bodies house and transmute those energies, manipulate those energies, we can come back to the age of levitating stones, huge monolithic stones, cut with a precision that probably only the mind's eye would be able to discern. And all of these things that we think are lost are not lost. We have them. And so this filament, back to what I was talking about, this filament connects us all. And it is cosmic, but again, we have to remember, because this is the trap in the spiritual circles and in the new age movement, and even in so many people I respect and I love, and I do respect their beliefs because I've learned so much from them. But we can't let the stars dictate our feelings. Our feelings are dictating the stars, and we have to understand that we are the stars. And so our emotions, our energy is what's projecting this outward projection, this reality. And so, yeah, I'll turn on the cam. I know that I've done a few experiments on Facebook, and when I have my camera off on Facebook, I've got virtually no viewers when I'm on just the screen there that comes on when with the little icon. And so I'll turn that camera back on. I know some viewers like it. Some viewers, I might start moving a little more towards that with some things as I move into some other platforms. I'm looking at joining D Live and Patreon and a couple of other platforms, but definitely I love doing the screen sharing and stuff. And this filament that connects us, it stretches to a beyond that cosmic level. I mean, our quantum, it goes to a quantum level. And one of the things that we've got to understand is that how we're all truly connected. I used to be very judgmental and dog on a lot of people, but Ellen DeGeneres was one of them. But there's this profound statement, a quote that she said, "I am saddened by how people treat one another, and how we are so shut off from one another, and how we judge one another, when the truth is we're all one connected thing. We're all from the same exact molecules." And see, this is the disturbing thing for a lot of people. This is the difficult thing. This is one of the things that solidifies those thought forms and keeps us in that constant state of division. And in that state of division, then it perpetuates that emotion and that feeling of separateness and judgment, right? And even leads into resentment and anger and all of the things that we talked about in the first part of the show. And so when we come to this realization, it has to be about that accountability for our own emotions, for that energy that we perpetuate, right? We all know that we're connected deep down. The notion of being connected only is it only a magical feeling, or is it a concrete fact? Quantum mechanics. You guys know that I love recently studying quantum mechanics and quantum theories, various quantum theories, and quantum entanglement. Quantum mechanics, or the study of the micro world states, illustrates that what we think of reality isn't really so. Our human brains think we're always tricked into believing this idea of separation, right? Nothing is really separated. Not even us, not even human beings. This perception that of separation, that we're all separated as a species that grew and evolved, became one of the Earth's most dominating forces, right? I mean, many times I hear people call the human race a virus, right? A poison. But, you know, in all of that glory, so many things regarding the true gnosis of how we are all one from source has just evaporated. Like, in some circles, it might still hold weight. But check it, when we look into the atomic world with a magnifying lens, it becomes evident that we're not exactly who we thought we were. Our atoms and electrons are no more important or significant than the makeup of the oak tree outside your window blowing in the wind. In fact, we're much less, we are much less different from the bed that I'm sitting on right now, the chair that you're sitting in, wherever you're maybe standing, as we're sharing in all of this. But see, the tricky part of all of this knowledge and wisdom that quantum mechanics has imparted to us is that we don't know where to draw the line, right? Primarily because of the physiology of our brain, it prevents us. We're prevented from really experiencing things as they truly are, the universe as it truly is, our perception, our reality. Our perception is our reality. We create our reality via the way that these thought forms are built, the way that they're perceived, the way, again, that they're perpetuated and solidified, the way that they're governed, the way that they're controlled and steered, built up or tore down. So just some of the basics of quantum theory. So to truly understand what's happening on a subatomic level, when we think of someone or when we feel the lightness of love for another, we got to bridge the gap between the micro and the macro. Okay, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's much easier said than done, right? Because the micro world operates under quite significantly different laws. String theory states that our universe is made up of tiny little string particles and waves. And see, this is a greater understanding to just the atomic understanding, right? The particulate understanding. This goes to waves, waveforms. And so these strings are the building blocks of the universe, the things that we experience, right? The things that make up the multiverse, the 11 plus dimensions that exist in the multiverse. I mean, I've heard 12. I've heard 12 dimensions, but I've literally, I believe that it's limitless. I mean, the dimensional realms are limitless. just like our mind is, just like our source is. And so anyway, there's some actions in concerning quantum entanglement that some people might consider spooky. How do these tiny strings that bind the book of life correlate to how we experience consciousness and affect our physical realm? I've talked about it in videos. Albert Einstein in 35, his co-workers discovered quantum entanglement lurking in the equations of how spooky and strange it truly was. It led to the EPR paradox introduced by Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen. The EPR paradox stated that the only ways of explaining the effects of quantum entanglement were to assume the universe is non-local or the true basis of physics is hidden, also known as a hidden variables theory. What non-locality means in this case is that events occurring to entangled objects are linked even when events cannot communicate through space-time. Space-time having the speed of light as a limiting velocity. Again, I shared this in one of my videos. I'd have to look through them. Man, I encourage you guys to go back and read through, watch some of these videos, some of the research that I've read through and shared with you guys regarding the way that these subatomic particles, they form, they take shape, and they mimic DNA. Even when the DNA is removed from a container, they're still mimicking that DNA. Another part of that study shows how that DNA reacts in the same time it's literally tearing through space-time. Regardless of how far it's taken, the furthest they got it away in the experiment was 50 miles. But the DNA reacted in the same way, in real time, with the subject's DNA as he was experiencing different emotions. And so this is proving these theories, right? That various effects are happening. The things happening here are having various effects on things across the cosmos that go beyond space and time, that go beyond any realms that we think we know about. Right? It's having an effect, a direct effect, and literally, it's shaping this projected reality that we perceive. Our perception affects what we perceive, and what we perceive affects our reality. And so it's really it can turn into a mind fuck, really, guys. And so this is why some people think it's spooky, right? But non-locality is also known as spooky action at a distance, Einstein's famous phrase for describing the phenomenon. Think about it this way: when two atoms that come into contact with each other, they experience a sort of unconditional bond with one another that spans an infinite amount of space, as far as we are capable of observing, right? And so this discovery was so bizarre that even Albert Einstein went to his grave thinking that quantum entanglement was not real and simply a bizarre calculation of the universe's working. But since Einstein's days, there's been a multitude of experiments to test the validity of quantum entanglement, many of which supported the theory that when two particles come into contact, if one's direction is changed, so too will the other. Okay, so let me repeat that. When two particles come in contact, and remember in the first part of this, I was mentioning how everything is everything and everything is nothing. Everything that is created, that is in this realm, in this physical projection, that 70% of the earth is made up of water, right around 70%, 70 to 78%. Our bodies are 70 to 78% water. The molecules, the water molecules are completely recycled over what we perceive as time, and really it's these different webs of reality. And these different layers and dimensions are actually layered on top of each other, and they're all one. And so as we step into these different layers in these different webs, it's affecting the other layers and the other webs, which span an infinite amount of space time, which in reality is eternal and infinite itself. And so there's a new perception and a new understanding to space and time and all that we perceive and feel and see and interact with. And so I'll continue here. Just keep that in mind, because we're talking about change. We're talking about ancestral healing. We're talking about how do we heal what's going on now? How do we change what's happening in what we perceive as the future? How do we change all of this? How do we bring about that new heaven and the new earth? How do we become Christ? And if we're all connected, then we are all Christ. And we're all to become Christ. What does that mean? Enlightenment, that just means to love God, to love yourself, to love your vessel, and to love your neighbor as yourself. In 2011, Nicholas Gisson at the University of Geneva was one of the first humans to witness that very thing, a form of communication that went beyond the realm of space and time, where there would typically be a medium like air or space for the atom to communicate what it was doing. During quantum entanglement, there is no medium. Communication is instantaneous, family. Instantaneous. In the blink of an eye, all shall be made new. And that is upon us right now. That is the crowning work. That is the corona flash. That biophotonic light. No, don't be sorry. I like your snowflakes. It's snowing outside and my wife's got some snowflakes on. And so that's amazing. There's no medium. Communication is instantaneous, family, instantaneous. Through Gisson's work in Switzerland, humans were physically capable of witnessing quantum entanglement through the use of photon particles for one of the first times in human history. And so, I mean, people, it's a trip, because I know that people who know me and who've heard my testimony and my background, even in the church, they doubt, like, this dude that I know. I've seen this tremendous transformation in his life. I've seen they all claim, God has worked in his life. I see Christ in him. I see the Holy Spirit working in him, moving through him, flowing through him. But there's no way he can understand quantum physics. There's no way that he knows what he's talking about when he's talking about biophotonic light and light particles and waveforms, like. And it's hard. I understand, family, because when you don't understand these things and you hear somebody else that you, in your subconscious mind, have been programmed to think less of because he got long hair or he's had some kind of a rough background, or even not highly educated in the in the secular or even just in society's eye. I mean, I was a 9th grade dropout. I can talk all about tests and how high I tested in certain things and shit like that, but that's not the point, because knowledge is mute without a working application, and a working applicable momentum that you actually use that knowledge to drive you into making a change, an instantaneous change. Through Gisson's work in Switzerland, I already read that part. Okay, so what does this mean for humans? Senior scientist at Princeton University, Dr. Roger Nelson, began a 14-year-long study, an organization called the Global Consciousness Project, GCP. The GCP uses electromagnetically shielded computers called eggs, placed in over 60 countries around the world that generate random numbers. So imagine that each computer or egg is flipping a coin and trying to guess the outcome, with heads being counted as ones and tails as zeros. Each time they guess correctly, they consider it a hit. The computers do this 100 times every second. So based on probability, you would imagine that with enough attempts, the computers would break even at 50-50. And up until the catastrophic and rattling events of 9/11, that's exactly what was occurring. Randomness created by quantum physics to the best of its ability. But check this out. This is part of that spooky aspect of quantum entanglement. After 9/11 occurred, the numbers that were once supposed to behave randomly started working in unison. And so there was a point that we hit where everything flipped on its head. All of a sudden, the ones and the zeros were coinciding and working in sync. In fact, the GCP's results were so far above chance, it was actually really shocking. Over the 426 predetermined events measured in the entirety of the project, the recorded probability of a hit was greater than 1 in 2, far more than probability could explain. Their hits were measuring in at an overall probability of 1 in a million. That's mind-blowing, family. So, reminding the world and skeptics alike that even quantum physics shows itself in the least likely of places. What this means on a psychological and philosophical field is that what we once thought was a figment of our imagination is much more real than what we could have ever imagined. That's something that I stated in a recent video, is that my wife and I have talked about it. And if we can think about it, if there's something that we've seen on the big screen, or as fanciful as it might be, as fearful as it might be, it's something that's been experienced, and it's real. It's real, family. And so much of what we've been told is a lie or is evil is actually true. And the truth has been put in front of our faces as a tool, a mechanism to continue this program. These ones and zeros that were happening randomly. What is a 1 and a 0? It's like a binary code. It's a binary code. That's what a 1 and a 0 is, and that's what the like you think about the Matrix and Neo was. Oh, people are saying hi too. I don't know if you're in the chat. But you don't have to be. So all of these things that the greatest thing that you could imagine is more real than you could ever imagine. When you touch someone's heart, emotionally becoming attached to someone, something occurs. Family, that's why I speak about energy being transferred in these lives, during these lives, in these chats, even in the replays. When people connect, when there's a heart connection, building blocks of your presence in the universe become entangled. And so when we make these connections, that's why beginning these communes, you know what, that's a great place to start for people to become unified and learn how to live together in peace, to become self-sufficient and to provide the way that the earth has an abundant provision for every man, woman, and child, that would even come into this creation. There's an expanse that's so great that goes beyond a globe or a flat earth or a concave earth or an inner earth or any other theory that's out there. This expanse, this reality, this projection, the land masses that can be created, the here, the now that you're at, the space that's being projected is only being projected as a space so that you have some kind of a counterpoint to have your projection from. and a screen to project it at. And so that's going into a whole other can of worms, and we'll do a video on that. But when you touch someone's heart emotionally, becoming attached to someone, that thing occurs, that the atoms and the building blocks of your presence in the universe become entangled. And so, most physicists will tell you it's impossible to feel this entanglement. But check it out, this spooky connection to another living being can be felt when you reflect on the past. Think about it. Any past emotion, love, anger, fear, you can feel it. A mother's inexplicable knowledge of their child in danger, right? I'll share this with you, family. When my father was murdered, I felt it. I knew without knowing. I was crying. I was weeping for I was seeing my little sisters running around and playing, and we were actually having a party, and the kids were running around playing, getting ready to go to bed. And at the time that he was being murdered, this wave of emotion, this wave of energy came over me. And I started to weep as I looked at these kids playing and getting ready for bed. I didn't know what was going on, but 2 hours later, we got the call that he had been beat to death. You have to really stop and look at the evidence, family. You have to really stop and look. There's proof that we're all connected. It has so much more to do with the creation of the universe than the simple fact that we're all humans. I talk a lot about magic being magnetism. Magnetism is quantum mechanics. Like, it's all tied together. It's all connected. There's always this separation. There's always this desire to separate these things and to keep them divided. And that causes more things to produce the division and the separation, which causes the anxiety and the resentments and the angers and the offenses. Just like we can sense each other's electromagnetic field, the earth absorbs these energies and then puts out these same energies. And that's why we see the Hue-man going crazy, and that's why we see these waves of energy coming through the cosmos into our atmosphere, affecting our realm. Animal magnetism, like birds, bacteria, other creatures with an ability known as magnetoreception. Humans can sense the Earth's magnetic field. People's brain waves, when surrounded by different magnetic fields, suggest that people have a sixth sense for magnetism. Birds, fish, some other creatures can sense the Earth's magnetic field. They use it for navigation, right? Well, now by exposing people to the Earth's strength magnetic field pointed in different directions in a lab, researchers from the United States and Japan have discovered distinct brainwave patterns that occur in response to rotating the field in a certain way. And these findings reported in a study published on March 18th in eNeuro offer evidence that people do subconsciously respond to the Earth's magnetic field, even though it's not clear yet exactly why or how our brains use this information. The truth is the fact is that it's happening. And so we see these waves of energy, we see these influxes of huge electromagnetic waves of energy, biophotonic light waves that are coming in and changing things on this subatomic level, in the quantum field. So this evidence is one step forward for the magnetoreception field, and probably a big step for human magnetic sense, right? It's Dr. Z, a biophysicist at Peking University in Beijing, says, I do hope we can see replications and further investigations in the near future. So in this experiment, 26 participants each sat with their eyes closed in a dark, quiet chamber lined with electrical coils. These coils manipulated the magnetic field inside the chamber such that it remained the same strength as the Earth's natural field, but could be pointed in any direction. Participants wore an EEG cap that recorded the electrical activity of their brain waves, while the surrounding magnetic field rotated in various directions. This setup simulated the effect of someone's turning in different directions in the Earth's natural unchanging field without requiring a participant to actually move. So like basically, there's some things like, I think it's in the tablets of the emerald tablets of Thoth, regarding if you lay with your head in the, I think lying east for an hour during the morning, and then west for an hour in the evening, and it might be north south. I'd have to reread that. I haven't even read through it completely, but I know it speaks about how you can have longevity of life and possibly even eternal life, and so again, these are things that are speculated or that are in ancient writings, but quantum physics and even these experiments and studies are showing some of these things have some validity, right? I mean, if not completely true, and there's some validity to these claims. And so, when you go out in nature and you're facing the sun, in the direction of the sun, and you're absorbing that vitamin D and you're absorbing that biophotonic light, you're literally getting downloads. You're literally getting biophotonic information through the micro, and projecting it into the macro, and it just works itself in the same way, and it spirals up and spirals down. And so the micro is affecting the macro, and the macro is affecting the micro, and it's all connected, family, and these studies are proving this. And so Joseph Kirshnovik, neurobiologist and geophysicist at Caltech, and his colleagues studied alpha waves to determine whether the brain reacts to changes in magnetic field direction. Alpha waves generally dominate EEG readings while a person is sitting idle, but fade when someone receives sensory input like sound or touch. So sure enough, changes in the magnetic field triggered changes in people's alpha waves, specifically when the magnetic field pointed toward the floor in front of a participant facing the north. The direction that Earth's magnetic field points in the northern hemisphere, swiveling the field counterclockwise from northeast to northwest, triggered an average of 25% dip in the amplitude of alpha waves. That change was about 3 times as strong as natural alpha waves fluctuation seen in control trials. And so consciously, people's brains showed no responses to a rotating magnetic field pointed toward the ceiling, the direction of the Earth's field in the southern hemisphere. 4 participants were retested weeks or months later and showed the same responses. And so it's kind of intriguing to think that we have a sense of where we're not consciously aware, says Peter Hoare, a chemist at the University of Oxford who has studied birds' internal compasses. But extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof. And in this case, that includes being able to reproduce it in a different lab. And so when we're talking about magnetic fields and we're talking about pole shifts happening, we have to understand the way that we're all connected via the fields that our bodies emit and the way that it affects the Earth's magnetic fields, and the way that the string theory points to all things being connected. As we're going through these changes, coming into the gnosis of the power that we have to control these electromagnetic fields by controlling our thoughts and our heart combined, and then using the vibrational frequencies of words to change this reality and literally connect through quantum entanglement, through that heart connection via these fields. That again, it doesn't matter if you're in an isolated in a cave in the wilderness at the furthest point from humanity, it's still going to affect all of humanity, and all of humanity is still going to affect you because of the Earth's magnetic fields and the way that all of these things are carried and perpetuated and interjected via the ley lines and the energy points, the chakra points of the Earth. The way that they're all connected and the way that we're all connected, time and space, there is no time and space. There is no way to delineate that. It literally tears a hole through time and space as we know it when we connect via the heart field. Again, there's no distance that can hinder that. And so as you receive these things, you're receiving this energy and you're connecting via the heart. And so the way that things are affecting me, they're affecting you. And the way that you guys are being affected by the things in your life are having an effect on me. And vice versa. As vessels, we're all connected and we're all affecting one another. And so as we see this virus grow, what are we perpetuating in the fear and buying into the power that has? The placebo effect. That could be fucking water. that could just be dust that they're saying is this virus. And I know that it's been bioengineered and this, that, and the other, and that it can be proven that you look at it in a microscope, blah, blah, blah. But what are we creating? What are we solidifying? What are we giving power to? We're giving power to that shit through the mass media. All of this shit that's going on with politics and with the fear porn with the coronavirus and with the death of Kobe Bryant and just all of the feuds that are going on in Hollywood, and this person is exposing the pedophilia in Hollywood, and this person is doing that, and this person is doing that. It's all theatrics. It's all theatrics to keep you separated, divided, and distracted from finding the gnosis and the true wisdom and the knowledge that you have the power within you to change all of this, family. We do collectively. And that's why unity is so important. That's why like-mindedness is so important, not in a doctrinal sense or a dogmatic sense, but in the sense that we all come to the realization of that unity in love, a pure undefiled love of caring. The religion that's undefiled is caring for widows and children, right? Widows and orphans. Where is that love for those that have been orphaned in this life, regardless of whether they have parents or not? Those that have been objectified, those that have been used and discarded. Where is the love for those? We say we have that love, but we walk right by people that are lying in the street, family. How often? I know some of us, we live in the middle of nowhere and we don't see homeless people, but some of us live in the city, and how often do we walk right past these people? And I'm not talking about dropping a piece of that currency, that current, that energy, that mammon, that one that has the love right now, that has caused the love of many to grow cold. Just perpetuating that shit by dropping that in the cup and walking by. Man, give somebody some of your energy. Give somebody some of the real currency, the love and the energy of your attention, to sit there and buy them a meal, and to sit there and talk with them, and to take concern with what's going on with them, sympathize with them. And we have a high priest that can sympathize, do we not? Where is the sympathy for our fellow human beings? I get this pit in my stomach, man. I freaking, I do. I get emotional because I lived on the streets, and I know what it's like to be walked by. I've had people walk by my family in this time of need. And sometimes that's why we go through the suffrage that we go through, so that we can have that compassion, so that we can have that empathy, so that we can sympathize just like our high priest, and that we wouldn't walk by those people, but we would give them our time, that we would give them our energy, that we would give them our love, that we wouldn't reduce them to being the worth of this piece of fucking paper, or even less, these pieces of fucking coin, these pieces of metal that have no value. That's how we change it, family. The love filaments, the filaments that connect our heart, that connect the Son to the Father. There's no separation. I and the Father are one. And you have to come to that realization for yourself, family. The coming of Christ is the consciousness of knowing that you are the Son, and that you have been given the inheritance of the power to change this by taking every thought captive, and by being in love, resting in peace, and having that hope, and not just having a hope, but being that hope, perpetuating that hope, allowing your perseverance that built your character to show the hope of Christ in you. That's how we change this, family. That's how we change this. That's how we heal ourselves, and that's how we heal others, and that's how we heal this earth. Again, I've shared in past shows that every single human being depends on positivity to survive. In order to be positive, you have to allow the emotions that you feel when you've been hurt, when you've been let down, when you've hurt people and you've let people down. Don't allow them to dictate the love and the light that's being emitted from you. Continue to solidify the positivity of the hope that lies within you. You know, it has a lot to do with our health and our wellness. That's what this is about, after all, isn't it? Healing ancestral traumas, healing ourselves physically, healing ourselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually, collectively. The mechanism for the connection between health and positivity is found right in our very cells. There's no doubt of what happens in the brain, um, and how it influences what happens in the body, what happens in the brain, and how it influences what happens in the body. So many studies from multiple leading medical centers, including Johns Hopkins University and Harvard School of Public Health, as well as the National Institute of Health, have shown an indisputable link between having a positive outlook and health benefits like lower blood pressure, less heart disease, better weight control, and healthier blood sugar levels. When facing a health crisis, actively enhancing positive emotions can boost the immune system and counter depression. And so our state of mind has a lot to do with our outcome when we're facing something that seems detrimental or life ending, you know? And I know I've seen that in my own walk, in my own experience now going through this. Seeing others go through this. Walking others through this. So, as a person who understands both spirituality and human physiology, we can find that there's no accident that in the human body, positivity is like it's a requirement, right? It's mandatory for a new movement, a new age. Look at all the negativity being perpetuated in this world, family. Judgment, hate, frustration, anger. Many of these emotions I feel going through the day. Maybe not hate. Again, hate is a strong word, but man, there's a lot of judgments and dislikes when I see, and I attempt as hard as, is I try to be as mindful as I can of being an observer. But to see the two people arguing, the two sides arguing, the two intellectuals arguing over politics is like watching two preteens arguing over which wrestler is the good guy and which wrestler is the best guy in a WWE match. That it's real and it carries weight, and really it's just a perpetuation of those negative emotions, the anger and the stress and the resentment and the division. And so positivity, gratitude, forgiveness, they're all together like a secret formula. Love being the key ingredient to personal success. And it's all hidden right in ourselves, right? There's no separation. It's in spirituality and spiritual movements and spiritual groups. People want to separate the body from the spirit. I am not my body. Well, guess what, family? Your body is your vessel. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Your body is your vessel. Your body is your vessel, and there shouldn't be any separation from your spirit and your body. Being positive is actually in your true nature. You are love, right? And so therefore it transfers automatically, again, thinking about what we just learned about quantum entanglement, to your body, to your cells. Positivity isn't just a hidden force that you interact with. It's not just something that you turn on and off or that you attempt to be. It's a very real force and energy that lives inside of you, that's part of you, and it brings about a tremendous action. Our body, we are electric beings, right? I've stated that so many times. Each cell in our body houses 1.4 to 1.8 volts of electricity. We're electric beings. We live in an electric universe. We are the Tesla coils that draw the energy and then put it out. And so it's like an energetic soup made of salts and ions like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and they all have a specific positive electrical charge. Now, of course, our body has negative ions too, but in order to make the magic of action happen, it's only the movement of the positive ions that counts. But keep in mind, family, that in that positive and negative ionic action, there's such an importance in balance in all of these elements. And so keep that in mind as we move forward. But in the body, certain types of specialized excitable cells create what science calls action potential, the cell-to-cell communication that allows an electrical signal to reach a destination with an associated physiological response. This action potential is more or less movement in the body as a result of the cell allowing positive ions to cross the cell membrane while keeping the negative ions out. That's pretty freaking amazing, right? And I'm in the midst of a bunch of research regarding stem tubes and the way that energy flows through them, and energy which also carries information, programmed information, and also certain frequencies weakening the cell walls and allowing certain things in. And yes, I agree, Jeannie. Always be prepared to walk away from the flesh shoot when the time comes. Our spirit is eternal and will continue on. I believe that the Creator has something for us that, again, it says in Scripture that will be changed in the twinkling of an eye and that we'd be a new creation. And I think that that happens first spiritually. But again, as the dead will be raised and all things will be made new, I think that we have a new body, and that light body that we already have. We already have it. It's in this shell, and we may shed this shell, or this shell may be transmuted or transfigured, just like the transfiguration on the Mount of Christ, and it showed that light emitting from him. And so I agree. We have to be prepared for that, because that attachment, that physical attachment, is what keeps us in a lower vibrational field of density. And so the more attached we are to the physical and to the materialistic things in this realm, the lower our vibrational density becomes, and the slower we move in the spiritual realm. And it literally becomes those lower density realms are what we would refer to as hell. And so we start to experience that hell being projected on earth. And so, but yes, we'll find out very soon. And for now, I'm very excited to learn about how this vessel works, and even moving beyond what we know with ancient alchemy and modern alchemy, because that's really what all of this is the transmutation of energies, right? And so I'm excited to learn about what this new transmutation of this energy is going to be. Hi, Robert. It's always a joy to see you in the chat. I'm glad you were able to jump in. Go back and catch whatever you weren't able to catch. We're going on 3 hours now, and the time has really flown, especially when we start just getting in the flow of the Creator sharing the things that he's shown me, and I'm sure he's shown you a lot of these things as well, the synchronicities. Again, Jim and I talk a lot about that, or recently have talked a lot about the synchronicities in the things that we've seen and been shown. And literally, we are of one mind, family. When you come into the unity of just, and the willingness of just hearing from source, when you hear the things that you hear, it often correlates with things that you've been shown and confirms and affirms the things that you've been shown, and then just continues to further solidify those truths. Again, creating new synapses, new neural synapses in your brain, which destroys those old ones that lock us up in this lower vibrational density, moving us into that new realm or new reality, which we experience here in the now. And so we literally can't step into that fold of what, who was it, Ezekiel, right? Or was it no, who was taken? Enoch. Enoch was taken, and so didn't taste death. And so what does that look like, being stepping into that other realm and physically, it's really, it's something else. And so we got to understand that this cell-to-cell communication, that it allows this electrical signal to reach its destination associated with a physiological response. This action potential is more or less the movement in a body. I think I read this part already. While keeping the negative ions out, it allows positive ions to cross that cell membrane. So the principles of science aren't that far removed from spirituality. In fact, we find that the basis of all healing is to know that science and spirituality are actually not that different. That's something that my wife and I have been talking about for, I don't know, going on years now. Like, science confirms spirituality and spirituality confirms science. Like, it's one of the very first things that the creator started showing me in this awakening and coming out of a religious belief system, is to see that science actually proves a lot of what many of these ancient religious writings from these many different cultures speak about. And so science tells us the better we understand the nature of the world, the better we can move in the world. But spirituality tells us the better we understand the nature of ourselves, the better we can move within ourselves and the world. And so we believe in science because it's what we know and see. It's observable, it's provable, we can measure it, right? Through experimentation in this real world projection, in the real world context, while spirituality encourages people to search within and to trust what they can't see or measure, and to move with life in a state of a positive, faithful flow. And so here's the takeaway. Positivity is crucial to achieving not only your life goals, but the health and the prosperity of wellness, of physical wellness, of a healing ability. And I don't just mean like popping a pill or going in and getting some injections. I'm talking about your faith has made you well. Touch the hem of the garment, believe, get up and walk, and take up your bed and go. Spit in this mud here and rub it on your face and show you that you can see clearly. I'm talking about stand up out of that wheelchair and allow the nerves in your body to start firing regardless of what the doctors tell you about having ALS. I'm talking about seeing and visualizing those cancerous cells shrinking down and disappearing, believing and knowing that it has been done already and that you're whole. Again, this will have an effect on the collective. Look at what Christ did. And he said it. He said, don't go and tell people that I did this. And how many times did he tell people? Because of your faith, you've been made well. Because this person's faith is the greatest I've seen in all the land. Look, it was the faith of that ruler who had a sick servant, right? And he said, I even as royalty have bow down to somebody, and so I know that you, being the Son of God, don't even have to come into my property. You don't even have to come all the way here. Just say the word and it will be done. That faith, family, that faith is what heals and what will transform and change this whole thing. And that's what we're here for. We are the way showers. We are the healers. We are Christ. We are the anointed. We're the remnant. And so we got some work to do, family. Just like the cells of our body respond in real time from their neighbors and their environment, we can take and use that which is within us, the love, the positivity, the hope, and respond in those ways to change the collective. We can blame all the negativity on every outside force that's there, fate, our experiences with parents, any of our relationships that have gone south, that have been difficult. Uh-oh, what happened? Did I lose?
You're just spinning on my screen.
I froze up. Sorry for the connection issue, guys. I've been going through this for a couple of weeks now with the connections, and so is it still?
It's playing, but look.
Oh.
So
Well, hopefully things are going good for you guys and coming through. I know it's just spinning on my wife's device.
Jeannie says she still sees you.
All right. Awesome. And so as we respond to these things, these experiences, these relationships, we really don't have an excuse not to have gratitude and to be positive, right? Count it all joy. These fiery trials which are to try us, count it all joy, family. That which is meant for evil is really used for good. And all things work together for the good of those who love him, right? Thank you for the feedback, family. I'm glad everything's good on your end. So, of course, as we're doing that, our cells are doing that, and it's good for us. It's every second that we're in that heart of gratitude and that heart of forgiveness, that heart of positivity. It's good for us, every cell in our body, and it's good for the collective. It's good for those around us. You ever been told that you're that you light up a room, or that your energy, that people can feel your energy, things like that? Or have you ever been around anybody that walks into a room and you can just see their attitude, their demeanor, their zeal just brightens up the whole room, man. Everybody can feel it, and it just brings an energy that can be felt and seen. We want to be that. It's positive. It's great. It's healing. It's healing our bodies, and it's healing others via that quantum entanglement connection. the love filament connection. Of course, life will always fluctuate, the variables that come with life. Um, Life on the inside doesn't have to be that way, though. We don't have to be tossed about by every wind and wave, by every doctrine, by everything that's said, by everything that's seen on TV, by everything that's being fed to you in the fear propaganda, and just the fear porn is essentially what it is. It's literally dulling your mind, and that's what porn does. Is it damages your frontal cortex, and it damages that's essential in connecting spiritually with source. I mean, I'll do some videos on the metaphysical aspect, and uh, the parts in your brain that produce these secretions of the Christos, or the anointing. And we'll do the physiological aspects of those things soon. But understand that as these things happen, we don't have to allow them to shut that off, to close that off, to damage the parts of our brain that produce the chemicals that make us more sensitive uh, to connecting with source, and the etheric connection that we have with one another, and with the past wisdom, the ancestral wisdom, the ancestral knowledge, the ancient wisdom that is in every molecule of water, and every molecule that makes up this realm, and so let's allow our hearts and our minds to change this. Don't give your energy to these psyops anymore. Don't give your energy to these things, the Grammys, and even the sports, the Super Bowl. Like this. I'll be honest, family. I used to be a Chiefs fan, and seeing the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I don't know what it was this year. I watched a couple of the games, and it was kind of cool. Um, kind of got into a couple of aspects of it, but just so much of just so much of it, and it can bring so many negative emotions, and it's really, what are you allowing to disturb your flow, or to direct your flow? Life on the inside, as you make it, will allow everything that happens in your body to manifest. Like, your positivity will manifest a healing in your body. It all happens because of that set intention of positivity, of gratitude, of forgiveness, of love, of receiving one who's done you wrong. Like I can accept that, and I can move forward from that, and I'm not going to allow it to influence me in the ways that it's going to be detrimental to my health anymore, or to the health of the others around me. When you set your mind and your heart with these type of intentions, you know who you are, you're confident in who you are, you love who you are, you love who others are, you see God in others, you see God in yourself. It doesn't matter. Nothing can influence your mood. Nothing will ever change that about you. And you'll really grasp and hold on to what that means, and the power that it gives you over your own health, and um, over your own reality. This takes training, family. And so we've been going over 3 hours. I love sitting with you guys for a long time. I might actually break this up into 1 hour segments and put it on other platforms, and also share it in broken up segments here on YouTube as well, because I know a lot of people will see a 3 hour video and will not want to sit down for 3 hours. And so hopefully if you catch this replay, you've made it to this point, because this is really one of the important points. If you want to start healing anything that's going on with you, you have to learn how to reprogram your mind by not giving power to the thought forms or the memories that hold you and lock you into the space that those energies move you into, that we would deem as negative. Those dark spaces that we would linger in and feel pity and feel frustration and feel anger. I don't know how often I've gone to those places, and I've allowed it to influence me in ways that, you know what, man, I'll just put it this way. You guys know I'm not always the best with my language, and I cuss sometimes a lot. It's allowed me to act in some fucked up ways and influence some situations in some really fucked up ways. And so we have to not stay in those places. We have to first understand that we have control over that. Only over ourselves, family. And so you feel yourself moving into one of those places where you are having a thought form or a memory bring about an energy in you that would move you into a place of feeling upset, negativity, anger. Observe those emotions. Why am I feeling this way? What is it that is causing this? Take those thoughts captive, family. And when you can take those thoughts captive, you can take that energy and you can actually transmute it from that feeling of friction and tension and just that electric shock that's running through your body. It's the adrenaline, right, that's being produced, and it's that fight or flight mode, the reptilian part of your brain that's kicking in, and it's just causing you to think of all of the things that you can. It's almost like to throw fuel on the fire, right? And so as we take those thoughts captive, it shuts that part of the brain down. It actually causes it doesn't shut it down, but it causes that excitement level to be brought down so that other parts of your brain can start working, and you can start working through some of these things. You can be an observer, and you're not taking the right or the left. You're not casting judgment first on yourself for feeling these emotions, because quite often, if we're honest with ourselves, that's one of the first things that ignites and then perpetuates these things is being in that place of that electric shock, that energetic surge. I guess I'm trying to find the right words. If you don't take that, you can take that and you can hold on to that energy, and you can allow these thoughts to run through like a tape and pass. And as you observe them, you can actually see the power you have over the emotions that they would otherwise be causing when you're in that energetic state of reaction. And we can draw that energy and transmute it. And actually, as it's stored up, there's a lot of things that you can do with this energy. It's been proven you can store energy in crystals, the oscillation, the vibrational oscillation rates can actually change and shift, and that energy can be stored in various elements like earth elements, wands, things like that. But ultimately, that energy you're the source of it. And so all of these things, while they can be used as tools, you are the source of that energy because you are part of source. And so you can transmute that energy and flip what we would call the reptilian, the evil masters, right? That part of our brain that causes us to think these things that are detrimental to our health and to the health of others. And you can flip it upside down, and you can use that energy for the transmutation of the negativity into the positive. And you can change this world on a subatomic level. And that stretches and reaches into the other realms. What does it say in scripture? What you bind on earth, you bind in heaven, and what you loose on earth, you loose in heaven. So what's happening here is affecting the heavenly realms. That's the power that you have, family. That's the power that I have. That's the power that's been given to us. And that's the power that's been being used for so long to continue to perpetuate this system that we see ourselves as being under and being controlled by, when really we're the controllers. We're the ones giving our energy to this garbage. And so that's the important, very important point here. You're the controller, family. We have to stand up and take responsibility and accountability for that. Stand up and take your inheritance. Christ said you would become sons of God. You want it, family? You got it. You know why?
Because you want it.
Because you want it. Anyway. I thought it was funny. But I'm telling y'all, family, you want it, reach out and grab it. We're the way showers. We're the world changers. Let's change the world collectively. Put your heart in that place of positivity, of gratitude, of forgiveness, of love. And man, if you've caused any offenses, man, reach out. You know, if there's relationships that you've just let grow cold and they've let grow cold, people that you love that you haven't talked to for a long time, and there isn't any bad blood, or y'all just haven't talked, reach out, man. I went to a wedding recently, and it was so healing to see family. It was so encouraging. You know what I'm saying? And so reach out. Tell the people that you love them. Tell them often. And don't let any little fucking thing, don't let any big thing hinder that love or keep you from showing that love or expressing that love. Become as a child. Hug more. I gotta hug more. I gotta hug my wife more. I gotta hug my kids more. I love to dance and sing and be silly. Dance, sing, be silly. Become as a child. Be in joy. Be in love. That's the law that Christ said all the laws and prophets can be hung on. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, family. Don't think I can add anything more to that. I look forward to joining with you guys again. I appreciate you guys sitting with me for 3 hours. and 15 minutes. You guys are troopers. You guys are champs, and you guys are love. You guys are the essence of the Creator Himself. And so know that. Take hold of it. Trust in that. Trust in God in you. Trust in that discernment that He's given you, and take hold of that inheritance. Be as Christ was. Isn't that what He said? He didn't just say love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. He said to love. Love as I have loved you. Love with the love of Christ. Love with that anointing love that transcends all offenses and brings about a forgiveness. I appreciate all of you guys listening. I mean, over 3 hours of comments. I don't even think this thing would let me go all the way back to the beginning of the comments. I think it only shows the top chat. And so I wouldn't be able to go through all of these things anyway. But I know I just shifted it from top chat, but it's still not. It's only going back to 9:36. Yeah. And so I'll go over some of these guys. I mean, I do love to interact with you guys, and I know when I get into the flow, I neglect the chat. And so you know, I do know that that's why I have, even in with such a small channel and a small chat room, I have so many admins, so many moderators, I should say, because I lose track of the chat. And so, man, yeah, I got so much more to bring you guys, so much more to bring you guys. And I'm just very thankful for you guys. Let me see. So we had a lot of people in here: Lacey Lace, Jeannie, Theodora, Eyes to See, Robert. Man, so many people in the chat. Victoria. I appreciate you all. And I am going to enjoy reading over the chat that I can see. I may watch all 3 hours, 3.5 hours, just to go through the chat and watch it. And I may make some comments on the video just to interact with you guys regarding this chat, because I love it. I love the energy that is exchanged. And this is what I'm talking about: the change, the connection, the quantum entanglement, and the way that we're all connected, and the way that we all interact, especially seeing your guys' interaction in this chat, and the love you have for one another, the love that you have for my family. It's amazing. And I just I can't thank you guys enough. And so I will try to read through the chat better next time, but on a 3-hour video, I can't even go back far enough to start from the beginning. So at least I don't know how, if there's a way to do that. And so I'm not going to read through all of the comments, but I look forward to viewing them. And so, family, I'll let you guys get on with your day. It's 10 o'clock, and there's, I don't know, I know in my backyard it looks like there's several inches. I thought it was close to a foot this morning, but I guess it was the way that the snow was drifting up. But it's pretty crazy. So I've got to get out and shovel and check the vehicles and get some other things going, get these dogs outside, and just be with my family and continue healing. I will have a health update coming up soon. I didn't talk anything about my health or ask anything for the help with the GoFundMe or anything in this video, but I will give an update soon and let you guys know I have been making progress and I am healing. And so continue to send that good energy the positive vibration and all the love. Again, is we're all quantumly entangled. I know that my family feels it. I know that I feel it, and it's really an energetic boost and a help, and just an encouragement to know that you all are thinking about us, praying for us, and just affirming healing in my life, and just encouraging this family. And so thank you for all your contributions as well, for those of you who have been able to help and just followed the leading of your heart and the creator in supporting us, be it financially or with medicines. Jeannie, you've been such a blessing to my family, and thank you for buying the jewelry and for sending all that medicine that you sent. And so we love you all, family, and wish you all a wonderful day, just filled with love, light, and wholeness and balanced vibrations.